Okay, so I think I've got my technical issues worked out here. Here's what we're doing today. We're going to do two things. We're going to learn how to collect like terms, and then we're going to substitute variables into those like terms. So a term can be a number or a variable. So let's go with x's. If there was one x here and another x and another x, we know that there's really a 1 in front of each of those. It's inferred, we don't have to write it, but that's really x plus x plus x. It's 1x plus 1x plus 1x. And if we were to add those together or collect them, that would simply equal 3x. There's no solving to do, you're just collecting your terms together. So you can start a question. And the next step from there is when you'll have different terms. So maybe you'll have some letters and some numbers. So you can only collect similar things. So in this case, we would collect all the C's together, and then we would collect the numbers together. And when we're writing terms like this, you always put the variables first in your equation. So we look at this just the way it says, 2C plus 3C is 5C. We collect all the C's into one place. And then 4 plus 2 is positive 6. And that always gets kids. They say, isn't it a plus sign? Why did you say positive? Well, you write it just like it sounds. 4 plus 2 is positive 6. It's plus 6. And that would be the answer for that. You're done. That is it for collecting these terms. Well, then the next step from there is when they don't put them in order per se. So we could have something like 3D plus 5 minus 2D plus 3. And this way you have to go and look and find and collect all of your terms. But the key to this, and I always underline it so you guys can see it, is to take the sign in front of the term. So there is no sign here in front of 3D, but we know it's positive. And this one is going to be minus 2D. So when you say this to yourself, you're going to say 3D minus 2D. And similarly with the numbers that we're collecting, we're going to take positive 5 and positive 3 and add them together. You take the sign in front of it. And this underlining and circling and boxing of letters is a great way to first learn how to do this. Anyhow, 3D minus 2D is simply 1D. We could write a 1 in front of that if that makes you happy, but it is 1D. I can see 1D right there. And 5 plus 3 is 8. D plus 5 is a good answer. D8 is not. You can't skip the sign there. So it's really important, if you know that it's going to be positive 8, you write D plus 8. There's not too many more ways to make this more difficult, except we could have numerous things. So I could have things like 2x plus 3y plus 6 plus 4y minus 4x. And now I've got x's and y's. Oops, that 45 was supposed to be a 4y. Let me try that again. So I've got x terms, I've got y terms, and I've got straight number terms. So again, in order to get myself ready to do this, I'm going to underline all my x's. And I make sure that I include the term in front of, the sign in front of my term. And then if I'm going to collect the y's, maybe I'll do it differently. I'll box these ones. It only takes a second to box them, underline them. And this one I'll probably circle, because they're all different. And away I go. Remember, when we put our answers down, you always put the variables first. It doesn't matter if you put x or y, as long as the numbers come at the end. And that'll make way more sense when we're doing math and in the next term. Trust me, we put the numbers at the end and the variables at the beginning. So anyhow, we have 2x minus 4x. Think about it. You have 2 and you take 4 away. You are going to have a negative answer. That's going to equal negative 2x. And that's okay. Do not fear integers. Next is the y's. You have plus 3y plus 4y. That equals plus 7y. And the last is plus 6. You write it plus 6. You have to have these terms in between, or you have to have the signs in between all of your terms. Basically, that is collecting like terms. We can do it all day, and you're going to practice it today. but you're just going to collect the signs or the terms that are the same together and pay attention to the signs. So we'll do that for a little bit, and I'll show you where it leads to, because this is the first step in substituting. So if we said something like x equals 2 and y equals 3, you usually probably see it says if x equals 2, y equals 3, and then you go ahead and solve. Now, 2x plus 3y plus 4x plus 6y plus y. Those are just terms. You could substitute all of these individually like so and arrive at the same answer, but that's not the math we're trying to teach you. We're trying to teach you ways of, just like in English where we're summarizing, same here. We always collect our terms before substituting. So we're going to take all of our x's, remembering to take the sign in front of it first, and we're going to take all of our y's, and we're going to collect them together, just like we did a few seconds ago. So 2x plus 4x equals 6x. And 3y plus 6y plus 1 more y equals 10y. Now that we know that, we can go back to the values that we have above. And we're going to substitute those values into our new equation. And this is the equation that we came up with. Remember, when we are substituting, we show it with brackets. So a 2 will go here, plus 10, oops, my apologies, plus 10 times 3. That value came from here, the x value came from here. Anyhow, this is 6 times 2, and that's 12, and that's 30. Maybe I make it like that so it's nice and neat. And my answer from this is 42. It's actually 2 questions: collecting the terms, substituting, and showing your work. You have to see, and I say it every day in every class, that each of these is a step that builds upon the next. So important that you ask questions if you don't get one step, because it's going to keep building and keep building and keep snowballing. You must make sure you understand what is happening, and you have to ask if you don't. If not, it will start to get very confusing. So I'll put some more things out here. It doesn't matter what the letter is. We can make C equal to 4, and we can make D equal to 3. Just throwing out numbers. And then we need the question. So I'll have something like 2c minus 3d plus 5d plus c plus 2. Now I have 3 terms. I have c's, d's, and numbers. We start by collecting our terms and using what's in front. You can underline it, you can box them, you can do whatever you want to show that they're different from each other. 2c plus 1c is 3c. 2 plus 1 is 3. 2c plus 1c is 3c. When we get to this next part, negative 3d plus 5d, that's 2d. That's positive 2d, and you write it like you say it. It's plus 2d. And lastly, there's nothing to do down here except write plus 2. So our equation is now 3c plus 2d plus 2. And you have successfully collected your terms. But now we're going to go to the question up here and substitute the values in. So wherever I see a C, I'm going to put a 4. And wherever I see a D, I'm going to put a 3. So 3 times 4 plus 2 times 3 plus 2. Starts to look a little bit like our order of operations. Anyhow, 3 times 4 is 12, plus 6, plus 2. And 12 plus 6 is 18, and 2 is 20. There's our answer. Collected terms, substituted. I'll do one more with you, because you'll start to get negatives, and you'll have decimal numbers, and you just have to know that that is now part of your mathematical life. Decimal numbers and negative integers, that's just your new normal. Don't shy away from them. Okay, last one. We'll say if x equals -2 and something about y equals 3.5. Here we go. Let's do 3y plus 5x minus 2x plus 4y. I could put a number in there, but I'm just trying to show you about negatives and decimals. So first step is to collect your terms. Take the sign that's in front. Make sure you only collect the terms that are like. So this says 3y plus 4y, and that's 7y. And this says 5x minus 2x, and that's plus 3x. Do not forget that sign. Anyhow, we've collected our terms successfully. Now it's time to substitute these numbers in where you see those values down below. 7 bracket 3.5, we put a bracket to show every time we substitute a number in. We're going to add because that's what the question tells us. And we're going to multiply this by -2 because that's what it said in the question. So we have, 3, 7 is 21, 7 and 5 is 3.5, so that's 24.5. And we're going to add -6. And 24, let me move my board down. 24 plus -6 is 18.5. So there's your substitution. There's your collecting of terms. That's it in a nutshell. And we're going to practice this for today. If we have a lot of questions, we'll practice it for tomorrow. But this will get you started, and watch it again tonight after we do our class lesson today in case you need a refresher. Good luck.